In my last video, I made a Mandalorian helmet. So naturally in this video, we're gonna make Baby Yoda. I got this idea after putting up our Christmas tree. It was looking really bland with only a couple of ornaments. But then I thought, you know what would set this tree apart? What would make a fantastic tree topper, but the hottest toy of 2020? Baby Yoda. I found a great model on Thingiverse from a user named Marvin Miniatures. It's an extremely detailed model. In order to make this tree topper though, I had to modify his model and put a hole in the bottom of it. This was a learning experience for sure. I downloaded his STL file and performed some Fusion 360 wizardry on it. This involved making a closed mesh, reducing the face count to around 30,000, and then converting from a mesh to a B-rep. This transforms the thousands of vertices in the mesh file into a bunch of polygons. This allows me to edit the object, but lowers the resolution of the details. I added a hole in the bottom and then removed the base. Baby Yoda got sliced in Cura with an infill of 7%, which was more than enough. Here is the completed print. So this print took 2 days and 1 hour on the Creality CR-10, but printed on the first try with 0 errors. Our Baby Yoda is not so small, and he weighs in at, oh my goodness, 603 grams. That's a lot of filament for this little guy. So now I'm gonna remove all of the support material from the print. Is that satisfying to watch? I feel like removing support material could be like the new pimple popping channel. Now we just need to do some things to smooth this guy down a little bit to get him ready for paint. So if you look at him close, not only can you still see some of the 3D print lines, you can also see all the individual polygons that make up the model. So to smooth out the 3D print lines and kind of make the polygons a little less notable, I'm going to use some XTC 3D, which is kind of like a thin epoxy that'll help to smooth everything out. Alright, I've got this little pan that I've covered with aluminum foil so that I can pour out all the XTC 3D and keep it from drying extremely quickly. Now let's see how this ends up working. You want some good covering with the XTC 3D, like you're getting ready for an old-fashioned tarring and feathering. So that's all complete. I got pretty good coverage on Baby Yoda here, but I really won't know how good of coverage until I go to paint it. So I let this dry for 1 day, and now I'm gonna spray it with some primer so that the acrylic paint has something to stick to. Alright, so let's get to painting this guy. So I bought a big box of 30 acrylic paints. Everyone is an artist. That's awfully complimentary of you, Magic Fly, but I think I might prove you wrong today. So we actually seem to have a really good selection of greenish colors. Might not have to do too much mixing. So if there's one thing that I know I'm not good at, it's art. So you'll just have to bear with me as I try to figure this out. So I've got these 2 colors, olive drab and turquoise, which I think if I can mix together, I can get the correct shade of green. So I've got my laptop here with a picture of Baby Yoda to try to match the colors a little bit. So I wouldn't say that looks horrible, but it's definitely not great. This is just like too vibrant a shade of green, I think. I'm gonna try a different combination. I think I'll just go with this olive drab, mix it with some white paint to just lighten it up. I think I just need, a lighter shade of green. I have no idea how to mix paint. Put some white in, and then we will add a little bit of green. Yeah, that might be a little more promising. Let's see what we get. So now let's work on the pink areas inside of his ears and around his eyes and on his cheeks. So it looks like I lucked out. There's a flesh tint color in my box of acrylic paints, which looks like it'll work almost perfectly. Might need a dab of pink macaroon though. So like the edges of his eyelids, most of his ears, and then his lips are pretty pink, and then his nose gets a little bit of pink. All right, next up, some black for his eyeballs. So his eyeballs look like they're like almost entirely pupils. Like there's no iris, no white portion, or maybe just a little bit. I think I'm just gonna make them completely black for simplicity. All right, next up, we're gonna paint his, I don't know, is it his jacket, his smock, his coat, which looks to be lighter brown for the neck area, darker brown for the main jacket. So I'm gonna take my brown, and that's going to need to be lightened up a whole bunch. The initial color of brown kind of turned out the color of my dog's vomit, which was definitely not what we were going for. So I ended up adding a yellowish gold paint to it, which created a much more accurate shade. All right, now let's finish up with the neck and wrist area of his jacket, which is just a lighter version of the main jacket brown color. So we will take a lot of white and then mix in a little bit of, is it ochre or ochre? And a little bit of brown. And that should give us a very light. So this is light brown, but you might want a little lighter. Let me see how that looks. Oh, that looks pretty good. You will be able to see the bottom of this print, so I'm gonna go ahead and paint that guy up really quick. I was pretty proud of myself at the end when I added some darker brown to the contours of the jacket, creating a little bit of texture to it. And with that, Baby Yoda is now complete. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. Given my lack of artistic abilities, this turned out about as good as I could have expected. I wanted to liven up our Christmas tree, and this Baby Yoda made a great Christmas tree topper. If you like this video, then you might enjoy some of my other videos. I've got several 3D printed Star Wars helmets, and I'm currently working on a Boba Fett helmet, which you can subscribe down below to see in the future. Have a good one.